how do you think about scaling up these markets? You know, we saw this number of $6 trillion, and everyone knows that the speed of deployment, the speed of investment has to increase dramatically, and you're all catalyzing investment in ways that wouldn't happen otherwise. But really, the pace that we're after still has to be achieved. So when you think about the role of your organizations in catalyzing an acceleration of investment, how do you see your organization stepping up moving forward to increase the pace of market scale?
Why don't I start and take a stab? So I think what we've seen over the last couple of years is financial innovation, and we're trying to learn from financial innovation, the leases, PPAs, ESAs to create a product to allow customers to finance clean energy improvements. But what I think we need more is this kind of reducing the customer acquisition costs, whether it's the length of time, lowering the marketing costs to the contractors in the marketplace. I think we're going to need a lot of marketing innovation in terms of customer acquisition. We know the private investment is there. We just need to get the demand. Jeff, you referred to it as demand. That's the key, and we're learning. You know, we're kind of experimenting. Us in New York, we're doing different solarized-like campaigns and experimenting with community-based strategies and trying to look at the data and see what the data is telling us. But what we need to do is we need to move at the logarithmic scale, and how do we jump to that scale? So we really need to start looking at some marketing innovation.
I would just second that. That's one of the things that I think is one of the most challenging things in our state is just the awareness. You know, it's still not on the top of everyone's mind. You can dump lots of money in, but if you don't educate the marketplace and really drive that demand, then you're not going to have people doing the work. And there's, for my assessment anyway, is that we're not at a tipping point where it's kind of sexy and kind of cool and the right, like people don't believe still that it's the right thing to do. And there are lots and lots of choices for where people spend their money. And until we can get there, I think we've still got a lot of work to do, a lot of individual education. One of the things that I see that's really, really important is that whole continuous learning process and learning from every single person in this room, learning from all of the stakeholders that are involved. We get so much information from our lenders and our contractors. Our contractors are an amazing source of resources for us, and they really tell us where the market needs are. And if we can listen to all of those stakeholders and then kind of learn from all of you about what else we can do to create that demand and then create products that meet that demand, I think we'll start to move towards that tipping point.
Yeah, Jeff, a lot of, I guess, in most everything we do, it's really about what are we helping transform, and what do we see that we're helping these private sector companies achieve that allows private capital to flow into them. It's really around scale in almost every case. And as Mary pointed out when she first kicked off the conversation, there's a lot of capital out there to invest in this sector, but that capital needs scale and they need efficiency, which means standardization, streamlined documentation, consistency, streamlined underwriting approaches, and so forth. And when we work with a Seal or a Renew Financial, that's really all about what we're trying to achieve there is help standardize those processes and create enough scale and a large enough portfolio and a proven pipeline where the developer has demonstrated they can execute such that when they walk into a banker's office the next time, it's a different conversation. It's a conversation of, this is what I've done, this is my pipeline, it's a credible pipeline because I've demonstrated I can execute in the past. I have a lot of precedent transactions here for you to look at. You're going to be able to put a lot of money to work quickly in a standardized fashion, and that's how you bring that capital into this market.
Yeah, and I again have to say I think that's a big case, and that's the standardization. And a lot of these things are all still new, whether it's the finance, whether it's the products. You know, the demand is out there, but we haven't really stimulated it, both from the users as well as the capital providers. And I think some of the things, certainly the cooperation that we've had in the region, and with others around some of the PACE programs, I think is a key start to that, whether we develop, as opposed to all these different states going in different directions, maybe there may be some commonalities as well across some products and some markets that may enable us to create a greater standardization over a regional component as opposed to just smaller components. And that may be one of the things that, as we look down the road, capacity to create that standardization.